A federal judge. Black robes. Lifetime appointment. The highest authority in American justice. But what if the gavel wasn't striking for truth? What if it was silencing screams? On May 8, 2025, at 4:47 a.m., federal agents surrounded a quiet residential street in Phoenix, Arizona. The target wasn't a drug house. It wasn't a gang hideout. It was the home of Judge Amina Osman, United States District Court, District of Arizona. Inside her garage, beneath a false concrete floor, a tunnel stretched 2 miles into the Sonoran Desert. At the other end, a bunker. 27 women chained to walls. 127 missing persons cases. All closed. All signed by the same hand. This wasn't justice. This was the auction block wearing a robe. Judge Osman, 48 years old. Appointed 2018. Harvard Law. Humanitarian awards for refugee advocacy work. Spotless record. But her rulings told a different story. Trafficking cases. 98% dismissed on technicalities. Missing person reports. Closed within hours. No investigation. No questions. Just a signature. Justice is blind, they said. But she was paid to look away. Comment accountability if you're still watching. It started with a mother who refused to believe. Maria Valdez, 52, casino housekeeper, Phoenix. Her daughter, Sofia Valdez, 22 years old, cocktail server at Desert Moon Casino, vanished after her shift on January 14, 2025. Maria filed a missing persons report at 6 a.m. on January 15. She sat in the police station for 3 hours, clutching Sofia's photo, answering every question. Does she have a boyfriend? Any history of running away? Drug problems? No. 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 Sofia was saving for nursing school. She called her mother every night after work. She had dinner plans with her family that Sunday. By 6:47 a.m., the case was closed. Status: voluntary departure. No investigation. No interviews with co-workers. No review of casino security footage. Just a signature at the bottom of the closure form. Judge Amina Osman. Maria went back to the station the next day. And the next. My daughter didn't leave. Someone took her. The detective was sympathetic but firm. A federal judge reviewed the case. These decisions aren't made lightly. But Maria didn't stop. She printed flyers. She stood outside Desert Moon Casino every evening, asking questions. Have you seen my daughter? Sofia Valdez. 22. Dark hair. 5'4". 2 weeks later, another mother approached her. My daughter disappeared too. January 9th. Casino server. Case closed same day. Then another. December 22nd. Cocktail waitress. Case closed in 4 hours. And another. November 18th. Bingo attendant. Case closed. Judge Osman. Maria took her list to the FBI field office in Phoenix. 23 names. 23 young women. All employed at 3 casinos: Desert Moon, Golden Sands, Rio Vista. All disappeared between ages 18 and 26. All cases closed within hours. All signed by Judge Amina Osman. The receptionist was polite but dismissive. If a federal judge closed the cases, there's not much we can do. But Maria left the list anyway. It sat on a desk for 2 weeks. Then it landed in front of Special Agent Marcus Chen, FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, Quantico. Chen ran the statistics. The probability of 23 voluntary disappearances in one jurisdiction, all within 18 months, all the same demographic, all cases closed by the same judge? 0.00002%. This wasn't coincidence. This was a pattern. And patterns don't lie. But the pattern was just the beginning. The real horror was what connected them. Tap like for justice. March 3, 2025. Agent Chen pulled every case file Judge Osman had closed in 18 months. 287 human trafficking cases. Dismissal rate: 94%. National average for trafficking dismissals: 27%. Chen cross-referenced the dates with DEA cartel intercepts. Encrypted communications from Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generation, CJNG. 3 letters appeared in messages dated to match the disappearances. TGK. The Gatekeeper. Chen assembled a task force. FBI. DEA. ICE. Phoenix PD Major Crimes. On March 10th, they ran financials on Judge Osman. What they found made the room go silent. Offshore accounts. Cayman Islands. British Virgin Islands. Panama. $2.7 million wired over 18 months. Sender. Shell companies linked to casino procurement contracts. Desert Moon Holdings LLC. Golden Sands Hospitality Group. Rio Vista Entertainment Services. All 3 casinos were known CJNG money laundering fronts. But Judge Osman had no business relationships with casinos. She had something better. Jurisdiction over their trafficking cases. On March 15th, FBI forensic accountant Sarah Voss traced the payments. January 12, 2024. Young woman disappears near Desert Moon Casino. Case closed same day. Judge Osman. January 13, 2024. Wire transfer. $38,000. Source. Desert Moon Holdings LLC. February 8, 2024. Another disappearance. Another closure. Another payment. $42,000. The pattern repeated 19 times. But the breakthrough came from an ICE raid in Nogales, Mexico, on March 29. Agents seized a laptop from a cartel logistics coordinator. Inside, shipping schedules, routes, manifests, and a list. The heading, Protección del Norte. Protection of the North. Judge Amina Osman's name was third on the list. Below it, a notation in Spanish, Puerta siempre abierta. The door is always open. April 4th. Surveillance teams position cameras on Judge Osman's residence. 2847, East Camelback Road, Phoenix. Gated community. 3-bedroom Spanish colonial. $1.2 million property value. For 3 weeks, they watched routine. 7:15 a.m., leaves for court. 6:30 p.m., returns home. Grocery runs. Yoga classes. Dinner with colleagues. But on April 23rd, at 11:43 p.m., something changed. A black SUV with no license plates pulled into her driveway. The garage door opened. The vehicle entered. 15 minutes later, it exited. Thermal imaging showed something else. The garage floor was warmer than the surrounding concrete. By 4.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Something was beneath it. Something moving heat. May 7th, 3:50 a.m. ground-penetrating radar confirmed it. A tunnel. 8 feet wide. Reinforced concrete walls. Stretching southwest toward the Sonoran Desert. The team expanded the investigation. They subpoenaed casino employment records. Cross-referenced with missing persons reports. Perfect matches. Women hired at Desert Moon, Golden Sands, Rio Vista. Targeted by recruiters posing as customers. Offered drinks. Followed to parking lots. Then vanished. Cases filed by families. Closed by Judge Osman within hours. One bartender at Golden Sands, granted immunity, whispered to agents, "They take the pretty ones. The ones nobody will fight for. Young. Immigrant families. The judge makes them disappear." May 7th, 4:30 a.m. The operational order was signed. 14 federal teams. 14 locations. 1 mission. Tear down the gate. Share if you refuse silence. May 8th, 2025. 4:47 a.m. The sky was still black when the first armored Humvee rolled to a stop 3 houses down from 2847 East Camelback Road. No sirens. No lights. Just the low hum of diesel engines and the metallic click of rifle safeties disengaging. Agent Chen pressed his earpiece. All units, stand by. The street was silent. A dog barked once in the distance, then stopped. At 4:51 a.m., Chen gave the signal. Execute. A battering ram swung once. The front door exploded inward with a crack that echoed through the neighborhood. Flashlights cut through darkness. Boots pounded hardwood floors. Federal agents. Search warrant. Judge Osman was in her study, shredding documents. She wore a silk robe. Her hands were steady on the machine as paper turned to confetti. She looked up as 6 agents burst through the door, weapons raised. Her face showed no surprise, no fear, just cold calculation. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit human trafficking, obstruction of justice, and corruption." They cuffed her. Her first words weren't "I'm innocent." They were, "I want my attorney." But the real target was the garage. At 4:58 a.m., a breaching specialist knelt on the garage floor with a concrete saw. The blade screamed as it bit into the surface. Sparks fountained in the dim light. 30 seconds later, the slab broke free. Beneath it, a steel hatch. Industrial hinges. A keypad lock glowing red. The breaching charge was small, precise. A dull thump. The hatch swung open. A rush of stale, chemical-tinged air escaped like a breath held too long. Chen descended first. Flashlight beam cutting through blackness. Metal rungs slick with condensation. 20 feet down, his boots hit concrete. The tunnel stretched before him like a throat. At 5:12 a.m., tactical teams advanced. Weapons raised. Infrared scopes painting the darkness green. The tunnel was wider than expected. Reinforced with steel I-beams every 15 feet. Electrical conduits ran along the ceiling. Fluorescent fixtures, currently dark, lined the walls. Someone had built this to last. At 5:27 a.m., they reached the first chamber. A storage room. 43 duffel bags stacked against the walls. Chen unzipped one. Plastic-wrapped bricks. White powder. He didn't need to test it. Cocaine. Fentanyl. Methamphetamine. At least 800 kilograms. But in the second chamber, they found something worse. Mattresses on the floor. 12 of them. Empty water bottles. Food wrappers. And on the concrete wall, scratched in desperate handwriting, "My name is Sofia Valdez. They took me from Desert Moon Casino. January 14th, 2025. If you find this, tell my mother I fought." Agent Chen's jaw tightened. His voice came through the radio, steady but cold. "We need forensics down here. Now." At 5:41 a.m., the tunnel ended at another hatch. This one opened to an abandoned warehouse 2 miles away. Registered to Desert Star Logistics LLC, a shell company owned by Judge Osman's Offshore Holdings. Inside the warehouse, 3 white cargo vans. Interior walls reinforced with soundproofing. The vans were empty, but the smell lingered. Sweat. Fear. Human desperation. And in the corner, a bunker. The door was reinforced steel. The lock required a keycard. Breaching team cut through in 90 seconds. Inside, 27 women. Ages 18 to 31. Chained to walls by ankle shackles. Some were crying. Some were too exhausted to react. One whispered in Spanish, "Are you real? Or are they testing us again?" Agent Chen knelt in front of her. "You're safe now. We're federal agents. You're going home." She collapsed into sobs. By 6:15 a.m., all 27 were freed. Paramedics treated dehydration, malnutrition, injuries. But in the bunker's back room, agents found the ledger. Handwritten. Black leather-bound. Names. Ages. Dates. Prices. Sofia Valdez, 22, acquired January 14th. Sold February 3rd. $40,000. 127 entries. 127 lives sold. Chen stared at the book. "This is bigger than we thought." But the tunnel wasn't the only place they were hidden. Across Phoenix, the raids were simultaneous. And what they found in the casinos was just as damning. Sofia Valdez, 22 years old. Cocktail server at Desert Moon Casino. Daughter. Sister. Nursing school applicant. She was taken on January 14th, 2025, at 11:47 p.m. Security footage showed her walking to her car in the employee parking lot. A black SUV pulled alongside. 2 men exited. One showed her a badge. The other opened the rear door. She hesitated, then got in. The SUV drove straight to Judge Osman's residence. Entered the garage. Disappeared underground. Sofia was held in the tunnel for 3 weeks. Fed once a day. Told she was being processed for deportation. even though she was a US citizen born in Tucson. On February 3rd, she was sold to a sex trafficking ring operating in Las Vegas. Purchase price: $40,000. She was forced to work in a brothel disguised as a massage parlor for 11 weeks. On April 18th, an ICE raid in Las Vegas freed 14 women. Sophia was one of them. But she didn't go home right away. She spent 2 weeks in a trauma recovery center, too afraid to sleep, too ashamed to call her mother. When she finally did, Maria Valdez answered on the first ring. Mija, is that you?" Sophia couldn't speak. She just cried. On May 20th, 2025, Sophia testified before a federal grand jury. She sat in a small room with 12 strangers and told them everything. The kidnapping, the tunnel, the chains, the auction, the brothel. And she told them about the moment she knew no one was coming. I asked one of the men, "Did anyone file a report? Does my mother know I'm missing?" He laughed. He said, "Your case was closed the same day. A judge signed off. You left voluntarily. No one is looking for you." Sophia looked at the jury. "I trusted the system to protect me. I thought someone would search. I thought a judge would care. But the judge was the one who sold me." The room was silent for 15 long seconds. On September 12, 2025, Judge Amina Osman stood before a federal court. Not as the authority, as the defendant. The charges: conspiracy to commit human trafficking, obstruction of justice, racketeering, corruption, money laundering. 127 counts. One for every victim. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial records, encrypted messages, victim testimony, the tunnel, the ledger. Her defense attorney argued procedural technicalities. The prosecution showed the jury Sophia's message scratched into the tunnel wall. On October 8, 2025, the jury returned guilty. All counts. At sentencing on November 3rd, U.S. District Judge Harold Morrison looked down at Osman from the bench. "You were given power to protect the vulnerable, to uphold justice, to be a shield against predators. Instead, you became the predator. You sold your oath. You sold your office. And you sold 127 human beings for profit. The betrayal is beyond measure." Judge Amina Osman was sentenced to life in federal prison without the possibility of parole, plus 890 additional years on ancillary charges. She showed no emotion as marshals led her away. But in the gallery, Maria Valdez held her daughter's hand. And for the first time in 9 months, Sophia Valdez smiled. But Judge Osman didn't build this empire alone. The network stretched far beyond one courtroom. And what investigators uncovered next revealed the rot went deeper than anyone imagined. Judge Osman was the gatekeeper. But she wasn't the only one. By November 2025, the investigation had expanded into 6 states. 14 arrests at the casinos. Managers, security supervisors, recruiters. At Desert Moon Casino, agents seized employee housing manifests. Code for trafficking quarters. Women housed in company-owned apartments. Monitored, controlled, sold. At Golden Sands, security footage showed women herded into vans at night. Driven to the tunnel entrance. Never seen again. At Rio Vista, a safe held $280,000 in cash. Bribes from CJNG. Payment ledgers. Judge Osman's name appeared 47 times. But the network went higher. Captain Miguel Serrano, Phoenix PD, 19 years of service. Arrested May 8th. His laptop contained patrol schedules. Routes marked clear. Times when certain streets would be unmonitored. He was the lookout. Attorney David Crest, public defender, 11 years in practice. Arrested May 8th. He had represented 14 trafficking defendants in 2 years. All received lenient plea deals. All walked within 6 months. He was the fixer. Linda Torres, procurement manager at Desert Moon Casino, 11 years employed. Arrested May 8th. Her computer showed employment records, visa statuses, home addresses of over 200 female employees. She was the recruiter. 31 people in custody by June 2025. But the question haunted every investigator. How many looked away? How many police officers took reports and didn't follow up? How many prosecutors saw patterns and stayed silent? How many judges signed closures without asking questions? The system didn't just fail these women. The system sold them. On December 1, 2025, Arizona Governor Rebecca Hartman stood before the state legislature. Today, I introduce the Sofia Valdez Protection Act. The bill mandated 1. Automatic federal review of any missing persons case closed within 48 hours. 2. Independent audits of judges handling trafficking cases. 3. Mandatory reporting for casino employees who suspect trafficking. 4. Strengthened whistleblower protections for law enforcement. The Senate voted 27-3 in favor. The House voted 54-6 in favor. Governor Hartman signed it into law on December 15, 2025. But laws don't bring back lost time. They don't erase trauma. They don't resurrect trust. 27 women were rescued from the bunker. Sofia Valdez was freed from a Las Vegas brothel. 16 others are still missing. Their cases, still open. Their families, still searching. And somewhere tonight, another young woman is walking to her car after a late shift. Another recruiter is watching. Another case might be closed before sunrise. The war isn't over. The gatekeepers are still out there. If you're still listening, how many of you heard about the 127 victims found in a tunnel beneath a federal judge's home? Or did you only hear about the latest celebrity scandal? Share this story. Ask your local law enforcement hard questions about closed missing persons cases. Demand enforcement of the Sofia Valdez Protection Act. Remember the names: Sofia Valdez, Maria Valdez. The 127. National Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-888-373-7888. If you see something, say something. You could save a life. Next video, the doctor's prescription pipeline. When healthcare becomes a cartel distribution network. Subscribe because this is part of a pattern. The corruption doesn't stop at one judge. Shield or silence? Which side do you stand on? We do not look away. We do not stay quiet. We demand accountability. In memory of the 127. Justice was never blind. It was just paid to close its eyes. But no longer.